Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Study Abroad office. It's Friday, I'm at home, drinking a coffee, wearing my Yosemite National Geographic t-shirt like the parks enthusiast I am. But anyway, that's enough about me. The reason I'm on camera right now is because I'm fixing to talk to Katie Shrull. She studied abroad in Australia this last spring of 2020. And so a global pandemic literally broke out while she was abroad. And so we're gonna have the chance to talk to her about that, why she decided to go abroad, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna get really in depth. It's gonna be really cool. So thanks guys for tuning in. Catch you on the flippity flip. Here's Katie Shrull. So you went abroad this last spring, and so it would have been your
Yes.
junior spring.
Yes.
So what made you decide like then to go abroad?
I remember like orientation for like college. I think they had like little seminars that you could go to just for different things, and they had one for study abroad. And my mom was like, "We should like go." And I was like, "Okay," because she's a big reason like why I wanted to study abroad in the first place. So she did a whole year in France her junior year of college. She was a double major in French, so that helped. But she like did a whole year there, so she was very like supportive of me doing it. And so we went to that, and I was like kind of thinking, but I got really involved with Young Life and became a leader. And so I was like, I don't know if I could like take a whole semester off of that, but like other people had, and so it was like it would have been fine. But I was still kind of like, I don't know, like I'm so out of my comfort zone. Like I'm sure it'd be so fun and I'd like have a great time, but I just don't know. And so a year ago, so last fall, I was still kind of like juggling back and forth, like should I apply, should I not? And so I ended up just like applying. Once I got accepted, I was like, okay, like this, I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was kind of the thing that I like had always kind of thought about in the back of my head, but I also wasn't like dead set on doing it. But I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah.
It was a very good time.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of had a similar experience. I kind of was like, this sounds fun. And like an application, like, I mean, I paid an application fee, so I probably should have taken it more seriously. But I was like, I don't have to go. Like, I'll just apply so I don't like miss a deadline or something
Right.
and see what happens. And then, like, we'll go from there. And then, yeah, I got in and I was like, oh, dang, like, okay, this is like real, like, all
Yeah.
right. And so then I kind of was like, okay, guess I'm gonna do it. Like, so,
Yeah.
which I also felt like my life conditions at the time kind of were made me want to do that. Maybe it was different because you came from like a big city. I came from a much smaller town than Stillwater, and so I kind of was
Mm.
like having a little bit of a harder time adjusting just to not knowing anyone and
Right.
feeling like a kind of like an anonymous space in a giant
Oh, for
campus. I
sure.
was like,
Yeah.
this is so weird. Like, nobody knows who I am. I feel sad. So I get, for some reason, then my thought process was like, I'm going to go somewhere even where I can be even more anonymous, somewhere 3,000 miles away.
But I think mainly I just like I felt like there's not going to be another time, probably, I don't know, but there's probably not going to be another time in my life where I just have 6 months to just like go to another country, be immersed in another culture as deeply as I was, and like not really, other than like classes, not really have something that I like have to.
A lot of people, I feel like, have this thought, but before they go abroad or whatever, like I've heard it more than once, is that, yeah, when else can I, like, I was thinking, I was like, when I have a job or a family that I can't leave,
Mm-hmm.
like, or that I have to take with me, like, I don't want to uproot my children to go,
Right.
live abroad for a few months or whatever. So, yeah, I definitely agree. It's like a very, this like season of life is very unique. And one of like having the ability to study abroad
or do something
Mhm.
like that is pretty unique to this time. But
Yeah.
when you were abroad, you said you were a Christian. Did you like find a church abroad? Because that was a struggle for me.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. So I knew a girl actually who had studied there, like in Adelaide at UniSA, the same like everything that I was doing the semester before, so last fall.
Okay.
And I would like DM her questions or whatever. And so she told me the church that she had gone to. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'll check it out, but I still like want to look at other ones. But the first like Sunday that I went there, I was like, nope, this is great. Like I love
Yeah.
this. And they had like a great college ministry. And so I like found community really
Oh,
fast. And so like for about the first month, I would say, before like everything shut down and went online, I was able to like actually go in person and like make friends there. And we would like have our like college ministry meeting once a week through Zoom. And so that was nice, especially because I didn't have any roommates. I was in a student accommodation, but I didn't have any roommates, and so I was kind of like alone for a good chunk of my time there. And so that was really nice to like still have that like community and still have like something to like look forward to when days seemed like nothing was happening or I wasn't able to like see other people or whatever. So that was really nice. And I was very blessed and fortunate to have like gotten that connected that quickly. Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, that's really cool. And something that I don't think a lot of people think about, but definitely for me growing up, and then also when I got to college, like not as much, one of my main like social outlets was church. And then
Mm.
I go to a small group in Stillwater, but I'm not as good about like getting up and going on Sunday mornings as
Yeah,
like I
it's
am
hard.
when I'm with my family. Yeah. But yeah, and then when I moved to Hawaii, and I don't know about you, but like I did not have a car. And so that was kind
Nope.
of like that limits your social aspects a little
Definitely.
bit. Um, but yeah, actually, and there's one girl that actually also like had expressed to me like within the first couple of weeks like she was going to try and find a church, and so I think she actually invited me to go with her. Like I wasn't quite so actively like looking for a place, but
Mm-hmm.
she invited me to go with her. And yeah, I honestly a lot of my like best memories are from that church. Like I really loved it, and it's such a for me it was the same. It was like a non-denominational Christian church, which is what I go to here,
Yeah.
but it was still culturally very different. Like they used a lot of
Right.
Hawaiian words, like just in the services. The
Yeah,
music was
that's really
different.
cool.
Like so that was like a whole nother level of like different culture or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was like, I mean, me and this friend did other stuff together, but like that was something we did together every week. And we found like a really cute breakfast place across the street. And
Oh,
so
that's
it is
awesome.
like a really nice way to connect. And they had like a
Yeah.
college ministry as well. But yeah, so that's cool. I'm glad you found, was it, does Hillsong have a campus in Adelaide or?
Um, I didn't. I like looked into that because I was like, that'd be so cool. But I don't think they had one in Adelaide, or like, if they did, the closest one would have been like outside of it. So not
Yeah,
like in Adelaide. And
not
so
super
that would have
accessible.
been like impossible. But I think the main one is in like Sydney, maybe,
Hmm.
um, or Melbourne. I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
or maybe not even one
Um,
of those. I'm not really sure, but
so what made you decide to go to Australia? Like, was that, how'd you get that idea?
yeah. So I mean, it was definitely like one of my bucket list places. For some reason, I like always wanted to go to either Paris, well, Paris and Australia. And for some reason, it was like always those two that I just like always wanted to visit. My mom also, she's our big travel person in our family, but her dad worked in oil, and so they moved around a lot. And so her first 4 years of elementary school, they lived in Australia. So the first two they lived in Perth, and then the second two they lived in Melbourne. And so that kind of like got me on the idea as well. Just like hearing
the stories that they had, and she doesn't really remember it, but like my grandparents have like so many stories, and so that just sounded cool. I also went to know another language, which was nice. And that just another place that I was like, I don't know when I'm ever gonna just like gonna get to go to Australia.
Because it's very far away. I mean, as are most countries, but I think
it's 9,000 miles or something.
Yeah. So, and they're totally on a different like season. Like, is it warming up there right now? Like, I don't really know.
They're getting into spring. They're getting into spring right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like exactly opposite.
There, and the time zone is like almost the complete opposite as well. And so that was a little difficult talking to like family and friends, but we made it work, so it was okay.
Yeah. I only had like a 5-hour time difference, but still, mainly it was usually fine. And like I don't know about you, I feel like I was like a different person on my exchange. I don't know if it's just like the fact of like being removed from like your normal environment, but like me and my roommates would go to a workout class like once a week at 6 a.m., which I have never done here and don't want to do. And so so I would call, that was like right after that class. I didn't have class until like 11, so it was a good time to call people and catch up, because it was like it was like mid-morning, middle of the day there. But yeah, I was dating this guy at the time who was very annoying about the time. Like, he would call me at like 6 p.m. in Hawaii, so it was like 11 p.m. in Oklahoma, and I was like, I mean 6 p.m. is like the middle of the evening, I'm doing stuff or whatever. And I'm like, also like, you need to go to bed. And he would be so irritated whenever I like tried to hang up, and I was like, it is the middle, I'm like at the dining hall anyway. So how did you figure out the time change? Like, were you super jet lagged when you first got there, or?
It honestly wasn't that bad. It was horrible when I came home, but I was able to like, so I got there around I got to Australia at like 6 a.m. I think, or 8 a.m. No, I think it was 6 a.m. Like there. But here it was like the middle of the night had like just started, and so I was like exhausted, but I had another flight to catch in like 4 hours, and so I like couldn't go to sleep. And then I got to Adelaide at like 1-ish or something, got to my like student accommodation around 2, and started to like unpack, get myself settled. And I like forced myself to like stay up until like 9 or something, just so I could try and get out of jet lag.
Sleep through the night,
yeah. And so that I think helped a lot, because even though I was so tired, I was like, I gotta stay awake. And so I think that helped. And I didn't have classes for like a week or 2. I don't remember exactly how long, but I just wanted to be able to like explore and like really get into things and not like
have to sleep
the first few days or whatever. So it wasn't too bad, but when I got back, it was bad.
Similarly, going to Hawaii, I was like going from, I don't know what it is, like you gain time, I think, anyway, but like, so I was like ahead of the game. Like, I was waking up at like 6 a.m. and so I was like, I'm ready to hit it. Like, this is 11 a.m. at home, so like I feel great. And then so coming back, also like traveling is very tiring. Like, even if you don't have a crazy time thing, I think like by the time I get home from the airport, you're like, okay, I'm exhausted. So my parents picked me up pretty early in the morning, I think, because we stopped for lunch on the way back. And then I got back like mid-afternoon and slept for like 10 hours. I remember I don't know what your student housing was like, but I literally thought that my parents bought me a new bed while I was gone because
Oh my
I
gosh.
slept on like a twin, like
Oh
literally
no.
church camp mattress, and while I was away. And so when I got home, I was like, "This is the softest mattress I've ever slept on." Like, and I woke up and was like, "Did you guys buy me a new mattress?" And they were like, no, and I was like, oh my gosh. But I know, I was like, yeah, for like a week I was like sleeping so good, and then I got used to
Yeah.
it. So what was your experience like at the very beginning? So how was like your adjustment period?
Um, it was good. I mean, the first week I was just like doing a lot of exploring around the CBD, which is the downtown, and going to like a lot of coffee shops, trying to find my favorite
Hmm.
cafe, my favorite place for avocado toast. So doing a lot of that. So that was really fun, but I also like didn't know anyone, and since I didn't have any roommates, I like definitely felt pretty lonely. And so just like trying to keep myself busy, honestly, and not just like
Hmm.
sit at home and watch Netflix because I was afraid of like getting depressed or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But um, Atira, the place that I was staying at, they did a really good job of like having events for everyone living in the building, whoever wanted to come. And so I like went to the first one, which was like a few days after I had gotten there. And so that was really nice because I met one of the girls who became like one of my really close friends there. And she was super welcoming and like invited me to join her and her roommate for dinner that night. And so
Wow.
that was really nice to just like hit the hit the ball running and just like
Hmm.
start meeting friends and just like start doing things. And I'm an introvert, and so that it wasn't like horrible because I'm used to like spending time by myself, but also I still like needed that human interaction. I needed just like
Hmm.
some peace to just like feel like home, I guess. And so it was a mix. It was good, but it was also like hard. But it got better quickly. So
Hmm.
yeah. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, especially when you're in a new environment, it's less comfortable. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of nice to like get your bearings, like, and not have to also be exerting social energy. But I think, especially in a new environment, to avoid starting to feel like, oh no, I should not have come here. Like, I'm alone, I don't know
Yeah,
anything. It is
I agree.
important to like forge connections. And even, I mean, I had roommates, but two of them had been living together for the semester previously, and then one of them was new. So I kind of felt like I was horning in on what the other two like already had going
Right.
on, and I was like, they're not gonna like me as much as they like each other or whatever. And the new roommate, we did hang out quite a bit, and then we all four became really, really close. But yeah, even having roommates, like a set group of people I was supposed to be with or whatever, there were still times it's still nerve-wracking trying to like engage. It's
Right.
just, yeah, it made me feel like a freshman again, which I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
literally, I
I
was
can
like,
see
I just finished freshman year. Why am I doing this again?
that.
But
Oh, I know.
did you feel like, did you like, were you friends with other exchange students mostly, or did you have any friends that were like locals?
I honestly had the majority of my friends were Aussies.
Oh, really?
And so like everyone that I like went to church with, and so everyone in my like small group, except for one girl, were all like Aussies, and then she was from Malaysia. But
Okay.
then a lot of
Wow.
people, yeah, so a lot of people in Atira, my student accommodation, a lot of them were from like different parts of Asia, so Singapore, India, um, Malaysia, like China, a
Hmm.
lot of places like that. But then there were also some people from like other parts of Australia. So like and one girl, so the girl I was like the closest with, Crystal, she was from Port Lincoln, which is just like a little town in South Australia, but it's like a 7-hour drive from Adelaide. And then some girls from Sydney and people from Melbourne. So typically something I learned that is like very different from here is that in Australia, typically they it's like pretty rare for someone to like go out of their state to college. And when they like have, or they call it uni, when they go to uni, they usually live at home because they don't have like a on like dorms.
Okay.
And so like some of them do, but like the one I was at had like 3 different campuses. So like we have a
Okay.
Tulsa campus, they
Mhm.
but that's like normal for them. Oh, excuse me. And so they have like a campus like in the CBD, a campus like 30 minutes out east and a 30-minute out west. And so
Wow.
yeah, so people don't typically like live on campus. But those girls that I knew had gone like
Mhm.
out of state or whatever. But yeah, so I knew mostly, I
Okay.
maybe half and half of like Aussies and exchange students. But I only met one person from America, which I was very shocked
Wow.
about. I think there were like other student accommodations that were like more
Mhm.
like Americans or Canadians or other exchange students, whereas I was in one of the ones that was like not as well known to us, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know. So, but yeah.
Hmm. That's interesting. Do you feel like, because I wonder, do you feel like being American made it easier for you to make friends or was like harder? Because to me, when I meet, like if I were to just like, I love meeting the exchange students whenever they come through our office, like
Yeah.
in the fall and spring. I'm like, that is so interesting. Like I want to talk to you for hours about,
Yeah.
so did you feel
Yeah.
like that helped or it could also be
I don't
a
know if I would say it
problem?
like helped, but it definitely didn't hurt. I mean, just like we love their accents, they loved my accent, even though I was like, I don't have an accent. And they were like, yes, you do. And I say y'all a lot, and so they would always make fun of me for saying y'all. And I was like, it's just part of my vocabulary. um,
That is
but
funny.
but yeah, so but I mean, I don't know. I think they're used, at least in a tier, they were just like used to people from other
Hmm.
countries and stuff like that. But then it was pretty, I wouldn't say shocking, but just like pretty different that I was there at the church that I went to. But it was funny because the girl that I knew, Kelly, who had been there,
Oh, uh-huh.
had like gone in, was in like college ministry the semester before me. And then Zane, I don't know if you know him, but he was there a year before me. And so, and had also gone to that church. And so they're like, we just keep getting people from Oklahoma.
OSU, that's funny.
uh, so it was funny, but yeah, so.
Cool. Um, so what were some of your favorite like experiences? Like anything that sticks out in your mind is like that was really awesome or
Um, well, definitely. So when COVID was happening, um, obviously, like I didn't really get to do much then, but when restrictions started loosening, I was able to like go on the bus and visit one of my good friends, Grace, who was in my small group. And so I'd like, and she was at a different uni, which had dorms, and so she lived like on that
okay.
campus. And so I went, took the bus to her, and would just like spend an afternoon with her. And they have like a beautiful campus, and it's basically in like a forest kind of thing. And so we would just like
Oh.
walk around, and then we go back to her dorm and make hot chocolate and play like Scrabble or Sequence, or just like really chill out and
Hmm.
just play games. And so that was really fun and was just a really good break from being by myself
Hmm.
and watching Netflix or whatever. So that was
Yeah.
definitely, I went there like 4 or 5 times throughout the span. And so those were always like my favorite times. But then also, I along with like Crystal, we had kind of like a friend group, and we had made a group chat on Facebook Messenger, and just had like game nights every Friday, and would just play like Secret Hitler or Roth or a Burrito, or just like all of these fun little games, and it was so fun, and we'd always like laugh, and like cry from laughter, and it was just fun like watching all of the banter that they had, and
Yeah.
pretend like, or just like being competitive or whatever. So that was also one of my favorite times, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think a lot of my like best experiences are very closely tied to the friends that I made, which is so weird because I think people really expect it to be like more tied to location because like I have friends here. I don't know. So when you're talking about, because similar to your experiences, like you can play Scrabble with a friend in Oklahoma or whatever. So I feel like people are always expecting for you to be like, oh, my favorite experience was when I went to the whatever Sydney Opera House or something. But I think even because I definitely did some stuff like that, like sightseeing, and got to see some really cool stuff, but it doesn't like I don't miss that as much as I miss like, oh my gosh, I miss, you know, riding the bus with Maya or whatever. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. And so how long were you there? When did you stay until the semester was over, or did you come back because of COVID?
So I was able to stay, one, because where I was at, so South Australia was able to like cut off, or close their borders. And so we were able to like contain and like reduce, and
That's so nice.
go to
Australia
like
did a
0
really good
cases,
job.
oh yeah, I was very lucky to be like where I was at, because I know so many people who had to leave, which is so sad. But my dad also called like the study abroad office and was like, we want our daughter to stay. Please don't make her come home. And so that was really nice. But yeah, I was there from the middle of February to the middle of July. So like 6 months exactly, I would say.
So yeah, you've barely been back. I mean, it's only September.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's, even though I was there for 6 months and have only been back like 2 months, I guess, 2.5 months, it still feels sometimes like I never left. And I'm like, did I go? Like, I know I went, but like, how am I?
It's like it's like a fever dream.
Exactly. Literally a fever dream.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. And do you ever, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I really was just like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Which seems bizarre. Like the fact that I lived in like a traditional dorm with strangers in Hawaii, I'm like, that's so different from my life right now. Like, that's so weird. But
literally.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I FaceTimed my friend Grace, and I was just like taken aback for a second. I was like, oh yeah, you have an accent, of course.
Yeah.
So, because I just kind of forgot that I was really immersed with that accent, and it kind of like got used to it. But
yeah. So something we talk about actually like at orientation, you probably remember, it's like reverse culture shock. And it's like when you come home, and I don't know about you, I definitely was a bit depressed. I mean, I don't know if it was just the fact that I came home, but also I started the worst job in the history of jobs. I was a nanny for this terrible baby. She was so mean. And I sound like a jerk when I say that, but she literally was insane. She cried she would cry until she fell asleep. Like she could not be appeased. Anyway, so that also gave me depression. But I definitely was like a little bit sad. Like I missed everyone, and like I missed like the pace of life that I was at whenever I lived there. And then also things, I had totally acclimated to some things there that so like for example, I was coming home and I had a layover in Minnesota, and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I was like, I don't know what the deal is in Minnesota, but I literally have not seen a single person of color. Like it is so white in this airport. Get me I'm white or whatever. But I was like, I need to get out of here. Like, this is
Yeah.
insane. I was like, why is it so? I was like, so whatever. It's not dispersed at
So
all. And my mom, oh
unseasoned.
yeah, and so unseasoned. Where is the flavor? And my
Yeah.
mom was like, Gabe, I hate to break it to you, but Oklahoma is also like that. You have been, you've been in a place that is the exception. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it's so weird. Hawaii is like majority non-white, so like as opposed to like white people making up like 70%, they make up like 40 or something, so it's very weird. But how was that for you? Did you have any experiences like that where you were like, oh, this is weird, like I forgot it was like this?
I'm trying to remember, like I think the biggest thing that was kind of like weird for me was just like living with people again, which sounds weird, but because I just like I was with my family for like a month when I got back before I came here. But I think I got so used to like living by myself and like completely by myself, because obviously I've been living by myself for 3 years, but I've like always had roommates, and so
Yeah.
this was like the first time that I was like totally by myself, and I just kind of got used to it. And I'm not saying that that was like really a good thing, because I just kind of became like a hermit when I was home. And so being like around people and like then wanting to like hang out and like have dinner together and stuff, which was so good, and I needed that. And I missed that. It was still like, whoa, like this is
It was
too
a lot.
much. Like, yeah. And so I think that was like one of the biggest like shocks that I had, which isn't really a culture shock. But
In a way.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And then driving after 6 months was weird.
That
It's
is
so nice.
weird.
I miss it, but
Exactly. You don't realize how much like that is a privilege, like to just be able to go somewhere when you want to go, like not have to check
so
and see when
true.
the bus is coming, or
Yeah.
for sure. Or being alone in the car, like, oh my gosh, being able to
Oh
play your
yeah.
music out loud.
Yes,
That's
and
like,
like exactly what you want to play and not have to worry. I completely agree.
so nice.
I do remember one thing. So Australia in general is just very good at like being green and like not having like any plastic straws basically. I mean, they have it at like McDonald's, but other than that, they like don't have it, and they'll give you like those fancy Starbucks lids, but like obviously no Starbucks. But and so that was definitely one thing. Like when I would go anywhere, basically they'd like always give you a plastic straw, or like just the recycling and the green net. I don't know what word to use, but you understand.
Yes.
It's just not as good here, and it's just like a problem that we need to work on.
Yeah. And when you live somewhere like that, you realize how much it's not that hard, like to live without those things. Because before I went, like I definitely was concerned about the environment. I recycled when I could, or when I remembered, but I did think, I was like, there's no way we're ever not gonna have plastic bags. Like, how do you go to Walmart and not have a plastic bag? Like, whatever. And then when I moved to Hawaii, like the first time you forget your reusable bag, you will never forget it again, and you figure it out or whatever. So yeah, and all their trash cans are like mainly like there's like 5 trash cans, and 4 out of 5 are like recyclable, whatever. And
like the specific, like these are for cans, these are for glass, these are for cardboard, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's definitely, America in general could definitely be so much better about that. Like or I guess Oklahoma, because I guess Hawaii has had a plastic bag ban for a while, and they're part of America. And I think maybe California or Oregon or Washington.
Probably.
I'm sorry, West Coast. Somebody has. I know there are other states that have a plastic bag ban, and I just think,
but overall,
we should all have that. But, so what? One more question to wrap this baby up. What do you feel like you gained from your experience? And this could be good or bad. We want a full spectrum of your experience.
Yeah. Well, definitely one is just like awareness of like plastics and just like living green and living like for the environment more. I also took an environment class, and so that was cool to just like open my eyes even more to simple things that we could do to like help. It doesn't have to be like a huge change in your life, but just like small little things can really like make a difference over time. So that was one thing. Another thing, definitely just like learning about another culture, and even like my friends from the different parts of Asia, like learning about their cultures, and um, just that was really cool. I've never really like been immersed with that many other cultures and religions, and just like hearing from them and then like listening to me and just like having like really cool conversations that I've just never had before was really cool, and just made me realize like, oh wow, America is not the only place that
Yes, it's one small corner of the world. Yeah.
yeah, literally. So those I feel like are pretty like broad and vague, but those were probably my biggest takeaways.
Yeah.
And something that I like want to continue to do and to grow in. It's just like learning about other people and other cultures and other religions, and like why people do what they do, because everyone, just like I have a reason for the things that I do, like so does everyone else in the world. And so
Yeah. I for sure totally agree with that. And yeah, I didn't even leave the country, but just leaving the Bible Belt really, like you said, like opens the door for so many different conversations that I'm probably not going to have here, honestly. Like it's such a norm here that nobody is going to challenge like my thoughts. And for them, like thinking of a few of my friends specifically, like you could tell that a lot of their ideas had also gone totally unchallenged because they had not encountered someone like me before. And so it was really interesting to, because you think like, oh, me and someone from Arizona or Nebraska are not going to be that different or whatever, but there's definitely all kinds of cultural things that come into play. And yeah, I agree. And it's made me so much more open-minded. Like I don't think that I didn't think I was closed-minded before I went, but just like now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm so much more just open-minded because which is I think a good quality to have in this climate.
For sure. Yes.
But
definitely.
well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with me. I really liked so far, you're the first person I've talked to. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like it's really nice to get to kind of rehash these experiences. And I don't know about you, I wish I could have heard some of this before I went abroad or on exchange. And it's good to hear the good and bad for sure, because like which by the way, if you have any Instagram content, like send it our way. But we like the stuff you see on
so many pictures.
Amazing. Okay. But the stuff that you see on our Instagram or our blog is obviously the good parts, which is what we all do. Like I'm not gonna get on Instagram and be like, look horrible today, also failed an exam. Or I might, but probably my close friend's story, not but so I think it's really good to get the full kind of the full spectrum of what happens, because it is definitely and we talk about this at orientation, it's really cheesy, but it's kind of like
for sure,
it's like a roller coaster. It's definitely ups and downs, but the ups are the downs are few and far between, and they're not as extreme as the ups, and it's definitely worth it. But I do think it's good to hear real stories and experiences.
definitely.
All right, well, thank you for talking to me, and I'll let you know whenever we get this bad boy up on YouTube. I'm not sure how to that's gonna go. But
Yeah.
have a good weekend. Thanks for taking time out of your Friday.
Yeah, thank you as well. Like this is so fun and just talking to someone else who's experienced this and
Cause
it's
yeah,
really fun. So.
because you feel like you're bragging when you talk to people that haven't. It gets
Yeah.
awkward, and they're sick
I'm
of
like,
hearing
I don't
about
want to
it.
keep talking about this, but when I was in Australia,
When I was,
or when I was
oh my
abroad,
gosh, I got so roasted because I'd be like in Hawaii. One of my friends, Shane, would be like anytime having he'd be like, did you guys know Gabe went to Hawaii? And I was like, oh my gosh. So,
oh my
all
gosh, I
right.
love it. Well, it was
Well,
good talking to you.
yeah, I'll talk to you later, Katie.
Okay, bye.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed talking to Katie as much as I did. She was so sweet and cute as a button. Loved listening to her talk about her friends in Australia and what it was like experiencing COVID like abroad. That's crazy, and definitely I admire her for like, it sounds like she was totally cool to stay in Australia. I think did a really good job handling the pandemic, so good for her. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. We will be back next week with a totally different story, and yeah, thanks for tuning in. Bye. I forgot to say, but like and subscribe. I mean, join this family, the Study Abroad family. That's what we are. And also follow us on Instagram, and we don't really use Twitter. I've been posting TikToks periodically. Follow us on TikTok, like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. They'll be in the description. Bye.